Ask Reddit. Hotel staff of Reddit, what is the creepiest, weirdest, most unexplained event that you've experienced on the job? My co-worker was an adorable little old Asian man who was very hard to understand. He was the housekeeper on weekends, so I would work with him most of the time. He was the weirdest thing at the hotel, but I'm sure it was a cultural thing for him. What I could understand from him and from stories from co-workers is that he very much believed in spirits. He claimed to have banished an evil spirit from the kitchen, and he also claimed that the third floor was haunted by a woman. The weirdest thing he did was, one day in the winter, he brought a freaking pigeon into the hotel. It was snowing outside and the hotel was moderately busy that night. But he kept this pigeon with him the entire time, and the damn thing never wanted to fly away. Would just walk around with him or stay on his cleaning cart. The reason he kept it close is because he said it was a woman in its past life and she was cold and lonely. She took it in and cared for her, It lasted the weekend, then I think our general manager made him get rid of it or stop bringing it into the hotel. According to my co-workers, he brought it home. Haha, I'm laughing just thinking about it. I'm a setup manager at a hotel for big events. I was double checking all the rooms before I went home for the day, and I went into one of the event rooms and flicked on the lights. I tell you not, there was a grown naked man in the dark. He flinched when I turned the lights on, and it scared me. I sorta yelled, "What are you doing?" Turns out he was swimming and needed a place to change. Instead of just going to his room like a normal person would, he chose a dark event room. Poor guy, he just needed 90 seconds. I used to work in a small 20-room hotel built from an old mansion. So yeah, super creepy from the right perspective. I've heard old ghost stories, but never saw anything supernatural. Rather, the creepy stuff came from guests. One time, a lovely couple checked in. Although the guy was way older than the woman, they were friendly and enthusiastic. Later that night, about midnight, keep in mind that at that time, I am the hotel's only employee on staff. My switchboard tells me that their room had dialed 911. Since the guy was old, I was afraid he had a heart attack or something. I go to their room and knock on the door. It takes a while, but the door opens a bit. It is pitch black in their room, like they closed the curtains and turned on no lights. I can't see the guy at all, but I hear the man's voice, and it's a cackled whisper out of a horror movie. Yes? Me. Excuse me, sir. Is everything okay? I saw that you dialed 911. Him. Who are you? Me. I'm Nubosis, the guy who checked you in. You dialed 911. Is everything okay? Him. We don't, giggles creepily, have a phone. Me. Yes, you do, and you called 911 from it. Is everything okay? Him. Oh, we have, giggles. Meant to call 411, giggles. Sorry. He closed the door. I go back to my desk fearing something insane is going on. The next day, the two of them come downstairs, super happy, acting completely normal again. Thing was just weird. Now I'm pretty sure I have an explanation for the guy's behavior. Drugs. But damn if that wasn't creepy. I'd have probably turned on the lights. I once investigated a noise and found someone in serious danger, so now I'm paranoid that if I ever don't check something, I'll have let someone die. Okay, super creepy story time. I work at a mid-tier popular hotel in the south on the 3 to 11 p.m. shift. About a month and a half ago, I got a call from an elder man working at the Haynes Company trying to check on a reservation. Apparently the reservation didn't pop up in our system, so he then starts asking me if it's okay if guests who stay at the hotel can get packages shipped to them during their stay. Sure, whatever. We will sign for them too. He then slides in, "Oh, worst case scenario, you guys will end up with 300 pairs of stockings." That was it, or so I thought. Proceed to 2 weeks ago around 9 p.m. The phone rings and it's the Haynes man again. But this time he sounds a little off. Super soft voice with almost shallow breathing. He's checking in on the reservation again, which still isn't there. As I try to offer to make the reservation, he cuts me off to tell me that the package of stockings will be coming in. And then, even more shallow breathing, in the creepiest, softest voice asks, "Do you wear thigh highs?" I still can't shake the tone of the voice. I hung up so quick and locked the doors. Was this Hampton Inn by chance? I live in Alabama, and a few years ago we had someone on the same nature calling us, asking what sort of panties we were wearing, and he'd sound like he was definitely getting off. He started by asking the normal questions: rate, check-in, out times, etc. Then, he'd out of nowhere begin asking about thigh highs. I'd also immediately lock the doors. I worked the 3 to 11 shift. So scary. Oh man, so back in the mid-80s, I was stationed in Hawaii. I needed some extra cash, so I picked up a gig working security at a hotel. This particular hotel had a smaller hotel next to it that was owned by one of the major airlines. We basically provided check-in and check-out services for them, but I never really did much for them in terms of security other than chase off the occasional drunk guy trying to follow the flight attendants into the hotel. One night, I got a call asking me to come up to one of the higher floors of the hotel to try and quiet things down. These floors were typically where the pilot stayed and had bigger rooms, and usually were the ones without much issue. The elevators opened to 2 buck-naked pilots chasing 5 naked flight attendants around the hall. The entire group were trashed, and there were signs that there were probably some coke in one of the rooms. On seeing me, one of the pilots told me to get out of my clothes because they needed more cock if they were going to tame these wild women. I politely declined and told them that they were going to have to keep it down because we were getting complaints. The pilot saluted, herded the women into his room, and closed the door. Not sure what happened, but there weren't any more noise complaints. The weird part was for the next 3 months I had the job, I would routinely see the pilots and the flight attendants in question. All acted as if nothing happened, and I never had another complaint. I knew I should have been a pilot. Not a hotel staff, but a customer who likes to do funny pranks at hotels I stayed at for work. My favorite one was leaving up shrines for Jeff Goldblum, candles, pictures, and all, when I was checking out. After doing this at one hotel a few times, the next time I got called out for work and had a hotel booked, they must have recognized my name, because when I got to my room, there was a framed picture of Jeff Goldblum with candles around it. Now that's what I call good customer service. Good customer service, finds a way. At a hotel my girlfriend worked at, her manager got called with a report of water flooding into the halls. She went to check it out and no one answered, so she went into the room. There was a naked guy standing there bleeding all over the place. The bathrooms are to the left and there's a little corridor past them that leads to the rooms. He just sits on the ground, not saying anything, between the bathroom and the bedroom area. The whole room is dark, so the manager steps over the guy and goes over to the first bed. There's someone in the bed, and she asks what's happened, but no response. She goes to roll them over and realizes they have been pretty much decapitated. Neck cut to the bone. Look at the other bed, and there's another lady in that bed, neck cut to the bone as well. Now she's standing in the room, and the guy with the blood all over him is still sitting in between her and the door. She runs out, but notices before she leaves that there are like a bunch of pictures all over the wall with flowers stuck in the headboard, kind of like a shrine or something. Anyway, turns out they had a satanic suicide pact, and the guy drugged and killed the 2 women, then tried to kill himself and failed. He left the bathtub and sink running so someone would find them. I've had several weird and scary moments happen while working in a hotel in DC. From suicides in luxury suites to terrorist claims, working in the hospitality industry will definitely have you talking about something. One of the scariest things I've witnessed firsthand is having the fireplace in our lobby explode almost right in front of my face. It all started in the morning when the lobby began to smell a little bit like gas. Usually it's never a problem because the restaurant is next to the front lobby. But after several complaints, we decided to look for the source. Turns out the fireplace was causing the smell. It was a gas starting fireplace. One of the new guys tried to adjust the temperature on it, and instead, the fireplace reacted unexpectedly and started a 3-foot flame. One of the bartenders tried to blow it out with the fire extinguisher, but turns out it was not the correct one to use, and it caused the fireplace to explode and create an even bigger flame. All I remember is falling to the ground because of the explosion and the sprinklers went off. The entire front lobby and restaurant were flooded. I thought I was going to be able to leave work, and they still made me stay the whole shift. Lesson learned from this incident: not all fire extinguishers are used for the same purpose. There's like 4 different kinds to stop a specific fire. Now, the creepiest request I ever got was from finding an escort for a gentleman and giving a room to a porn star. DC hotels for you. There are 5 different types of fire extinguishers: A, B, C, D, and K. A is for common combustibles, paper and wood and the like. B is for flammable liquids, gasoline and whatnot. C is for flammable gases, natural gas, propane, methane, butane. This is the type he should have used. D is for metals, magnesium mostly. K is for cooking fires. My guess is he tried to use the K extinguisher from the kitchen. It is generally a dry chemical, and when expelled, it mixes with the grease from the cooking fire and creates a foam layer on the surface of the cooking oil and extinguishes the fire. My guess is when he expelled it on this fire, it created a small cloud and caused a minor dust explosion. My dad used to work in a hotel. A few years ago, he heard a scream from a maid as she was cleaning one of the rooms. He runs in and there's a giant python just chilling in the bathtub. This thing is apparently like 4 feet long. They tried to track down the couple who had just checked out of the room, but the number they'd given the front desk wasn't working. Eventually, animal control showed up and took the snake. That poor maid was terrified to clean the bathrooms for a while. It's not under the same category, but I've worked in a hotel for almost 13 years and have an interesting story. My coworker is a bellman at a hotel, and one night he was assisting a young couple, guests, with their luggage. Or so we thought. He assisted the guests with 2 full carts of mostly random, odd-looking stuff and few luggage. The gentleman seemed to be normal, but his girlfriend was on drugs. Not the pharmaceutical kind either. So my coworker spent over 40 minutes unloading their stuff from the car, then to their room. Now he had a bunch of boxes with random things, long black cases that looked like rifle cases, and bullet cases, and weird-looking machines that couldn't be identified. After chatting with him, a lot of his stories didn't add up at all and sounded very shady. After my coworker finished assisting him, he did not give my coworker any gratuity for assisting with all his stuff. After being annoyed for all the services he did for our guests, feeling uneasy about him, and being really shady as well, my coworker ended up just looking up his name online. We found out that the guest had a warrant for arrest in another state. His warrant was for drug possession, dealing, indecent exposure, and gun possessions. Also, the warrant said he is armed and dangerous. So my coworker went to the management security and they decided to call our local police department. They looked up his info and the police department came in with a full arsenal and arrested him. He had a massive amount of drugs with intent to distribute and weapon possessions. The guest was arrested and taken back to the state and put in jail. Moral of the story is, always tip your bellman, especially if you're doing shady illegal activities in the hotel.